All eyes are on the light heavyweight division this weekend for UFC 313. Alex Pereira defends his lightweight belt against the surgeon Magomed Ankalaev. Now, Pereira, who, as we all know, is currently riding a 5 straight UFC win streak, aims for a 4th title defense. Ankalaev, this massively anticipated fight, which is finally coming around, I would say undefeated, well, since 2018 for sure, but I would like to say of all time. This guy's pretty dope. But he presents a formidable challenge for him this weekend. JK, we've been looking forward to this for the longest time. First things first, how are you rating this card out of 10?
I think what's happening, good to be back. Of course, covering Ash once again.
Yeah.
I think I rated it an 8. Still, I think it was an 8 or like maybe a 7.8 to an 8, I would say. Still exciting because it's probably one of the biggest fights in light heavyweight at the moment. In terms of style-wise, maybe not in terms of hype, for some respects. Some people are discrediting Magomed Ankalaev.
I just think they're scared, bro. They just scared.
No, because he's just a bit of a meh. You know,
he's done nothing wrong. Really... The guy's literally done nothing wrong his whole entire career. He's done nothing wrong.
I mean, he's a problem for sure. You know, he's passing tests in flying colours, bar the Jan Blachowicz fight, which finished a draw. But like in terms of like social media presence or just entertainment value, the guy doesn't really bring much.
I wouldn't go as far to say he's a light heavyweight. Bilal Muhammad. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't go as far as saying that.
But at least Bilal Muhammad is entertaining because
you hate him. You get
terrible. Yeah, because he's a disliked character.
Rather dislike someone than have no emotion at all towards him. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, look, it is a pretty pumping card. One that I'm excited to see, and it always is when Pereira steps up to the plate, isn't it?
Yeah, and fan favourite Justin Gaethje's back again, looking for redemption after getting knocked out against Max Holloway.
Which was...
It is a rematch against Rafael Fiziev. Yeah. Some people were pumped for the Dan Hooker fight. But look, I'm still pretty pumped.
And I can't wait to chalk that one up with you as well, to be fair. For those of you guys who are just chiming in, like, subscribe, and enjoy what's to come. This is the fan breakdown channel. I used to call it the fan picks, but it's a breakdown UFC fight night show that we tend to do for every single pay-per-view event that comes up on the card. So this is pay-per-view event UFC 313. We're going to be chopping up, JK and I, going through all of the 5 fights on the main card. So if you have any opinions as to what you think is going to happen, stick around, drop it in the chats below. We'd love to chat and dice this on up with you as well. But also, whilst you're there, just slap a like, subscribe, and stay tuned.
Absolutely. Captain Raf's in the house. Says, what's up, fellas? Raf in the building. Raf, gotta ask, man, what's the one fight you're most excited to see this weekend? Is it the main event? Is it the co-main event? And maybe let's get some of your predictions as well. We've got Breezy who says, delay on size and hear him before he talks. Maybe half a second. JK, you're fine. Thank you very much for the prop.
Appreciate that, yeah.
Brother. Captain Raf says, for me, Ankalaev is not as great or dominant of a wrestler as people make it out to be. It's probably going to be a lot clinching and slow, methodical ground positioning. And you know what? He could be onto something there. Yeah, I can't wait to chalk it up with you when that fight comes around. But I believe we're going to start from the top of the main card, kicking things that we could. The fight that's going to be kicking it off for us. Yeah, what we got?
That's going to be the main one up, yeah. Let me know if it's any better now. If you hear me before I talk, or if I am acting first before you hear me, and then I'll adjust it accordingly. But yeah, you're right. First fight up on the card, we're looking in the lightweight division, and this is King Green versus Maurício Ruffy. So this fight's pretty exciting because King Green's never in a boring fight. He's always kind of used as that yardstick to measure up to when someone's rising up the ranks and rising up the division. In the red corner, that's your 32-16-1, the veteran that is, of course, King Green. Yeah, previously Bobby Green. I'm still getting used to that. And then, of course,
I'm just about used to it.
Oh yeah.
I'm starting to now. Before I was like, no, I'm still calling you Bobby.
Yeah.
Now, second time around, I'm like, okay, maybe King Green. I'm starting to adjust to it a little bit here.
Oh man, yeah, right. And I'll tell you what, for this fight, and I'll drop that pun in a little bit. Actually, let's get into Ruffy, who's 11-1-0 in the blue corner, fighting out of Brazil. And the way that these cards match up next to each other, there's not a lot in it regards to height, but there is a 4-inch reach advantage for Ruffy in the blue corner and on his side. Now, looking at these fights, you probably look at the wealth of experience that is accumulated by Green, of course, in terms of how he's like I mentioned earlier, just gone up against the who's rising in the division, and he's also fought the champion of the division also, so he's got a lot of experience to lean upon. But my question for you, JK, really is, how do you think Green's experience in those high pressure scenarios is actually going to help him against this explosive striker that is, of course, Ruffy?
I mean, he's gone the distance against some big names in the lightweight division. He's been around for a second, Jim Miller being one of them. I think his submission win in the third round against Tony Ferguson was very impressive. So he's able to adapt as the fight goes on. Now, in that last fight against Paddy Pimblett, I felt like he made the wrong adjustment in the striking scenarios. For some reason, he level chained for a takedown.
That's just not what he does.
Fell right into a triangle choke, which I thought was very weird and unlike Bobby Green. Hey, maybe Bobby Green might just have some underrated grappling that we're not used to seeing. Like I said, the submission against Tony Ferguson blew my mind, because it just didn't really look like him at all. But he's got, I think, 9 submission wins on his resume, so maybe that's something that fans are not taking into consideration heading into this fight against Maurício Ruffy. Yeah, look, that's a good point as well. There's a lot you can count this guy out for, but then also you can't help but realize that he is probably got the right kind of fighting style for someone like Ruffy. You know, his hands are low, which is always a bit of a risk, but I think the key thing is that he's pretty unpredictable, and Ruffy is someone who likes to read his prey, doesn't he? And also, if you're looking at cardio, and this is a pun I was holding on for a bit earlier, it's absolutely going to be cardio is king for Green. Don't you agree? Yeah, no, couldn't agree more with that statement, to be honest. You know, I think one fight in particular that comes to mind is against somebody who's also on the card as well. I felt that his display in the third round against Rafael Fiziev was pretty impressive. You know, okay, he fell short in those first 2 rounds, but he was coming on solid in the exchanges in that third. And that was when he felt Fiziev slow down in that third round. And we've kind of seen that as the fight goes on for Fiziev. More on that a little bit later on. Yeah. So, yeah, if Ruffy is starting to struggle, I do think that King Green can very well turn it on him. Yeah,
fair enough. Yeah, and on Ruffy's side, right, you know, he's someone who's talented, he's rising, he's one of the fight nerds, isn't he? And that reminds me, I've got to get my glasses and stitch it up for this one. But how might, you know, I guess Ruffy adjust his strategy if he finds himself struggling to land effective strikes against Green's defensive style, you know? What do you reckon he's going to have to do a little bit differently?
Well, I mean, he's a very kick-orientated fighter. He has a flashy element to his style, which could very well work for him. However, I do feel like he might want to pump the brakes on the flashiness a little bit here, because Bobby is a bit of a sniper on the feet.
He is, yeah.
I feel like his last fight against Yontop he controlled the fight very well. I think Yontop may have had like a moment or two in that fight. And Yontop, to be fair, is a similar style to Bobby Green in a lot of ways, in terms of that he's a boxing orientated fighter.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say like the way his stance is similar at all, because it's just not. Bobby is very hands down, very flowy, whereas Yontop was very sort of tight and compact. And the jump in striking ability though is from Yontop to Bobby Green is massive. So that's, I think, going to be a big one for Ruffy in this one.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if it's you know, if it's pulling in sort of late into the fight and fatigue starts to settle, I think his movement would be pretty key, I believe.
Yeah. And a lot of people always say how, you Conor McGregor-esque this fighter is, isn't it? It's so much for his stance, his moving, his speed is there as well. But he likes to make those reads slip and rip quite a fair bit. And I think it's going to be really down to someone like Bobby Green to just be unreadable. We'll get those gauges up as well, just to quickly see who's going to be best in what departments. But if you got any chats there, read them on out. I'm also probably going to chime back in shortly with how I think Bobby Green could do it if he should do it.
Yeah, we're just crazy saying audio, the act. I don't know what he means by that, but maybe it's all okay now.
Okay, sweet.
That's what I guess.
Yeah.
So I will say.
Not sure why there are delays on mine. Never usually have it on my side, delays, but something is something. Anyway, here's the rankings. Well, here's the cards. Here's the gauges. Let's have a look at who gets what, shall we? Striking. This is difficult. We could leave it to last if you really want to. But who would you give it to?
I kind of want to give it to the guy who's going to be more dynamic with his strikes in this, which could be Maurício Ruffy. And another thing I kind of want to, I'm not sure if it's works well in his favor or not, but he does like this weird no look shy away from opponent strikes where like he'll just completely turn the opposite way from them. And he leans and he does it to like one side.
Yeah.
I think there was a moment in the Yontop fight where he catches Yontop with like a
uppercut to the chin.
An uppercut as he's doing it.
It was nice.
And he's moving away. And
nice.
It's like, I don't know if this is an effective move or not, because in the way you are
exposing,
you're not allowing your well, you are exposing your head, but you're also like getting your jaw out of the way, from getting hit.
Yeah,
it's a weird one. And then he kind of turns back into it and rolls. So I don't know how long he can kind of keep that up for on the feet against Bobby. It might work well for him. Bobby might be able to adjust.
Yeah.
But Bobby's footwork is very sort of tight and narrow, boxing orientated. So I feel like on the feet, defensively and offensively, I think Ruffy should be able to pull through.
That's cool, yeah. And of course, there's levels to this game. I think the question we've got to understand here, or get to the bottom of here, is this the level of which those tricks and ticks from Ruffy stop? So, yeah, we're going to have to see. His last fight against On Top was a last-minute step-in as well, wasn't it? And ultimately, it was one where Ruffy had the confidence that he can probably be a bit flashy. He can probably, do those things because he can afford it. So I do wonder whether that's still there, lingering in there, at least for a fight like this. But striking-wise, you do want to give it to Ruffy for this one. And I would partially agree with you. I do also think with someone like, we're going to need help from the chats too, I think, for this one. But someone like Green is probably going to be one of his strongest things going for him is obviously going to be the striking. If you look at grappling-wise, let's not look at his last fight against Paddy Pimblett to get any reference as to how his level of grappling. No. But it's been a while since we've seen him grapple, and the one time we do, that happens. Would you side with Ruffy again for that? Because he's kind of Conor McGregor-esque also, and I'm just wondering whether I see much grappling at all.
I got to give it to King Green. I'm
Still
afraid.
After, yeah.
King Green's got more submission wins on his resume. He's a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I'm not quite sure what belt.
How much he paid for that?
Ruffy's in. I mean, let me just see who else he's submitted. All I can think of was,
if I'm looking here on this stats, he's got a higher takedown accuracy and submission average. For Ruffy, nothing.
Yeah, and a lot of, I think, King Green's submission wins came early on in his career. In fact, his first UFC fight in the UFC against Jacob Volkman finished him in rear naked choke. One rear naked choke win at Strike Force, arm triangle. Guillotine against Darren Cruikshank. So yeah, he's pulled off some subs in the past. So I would probably favor King Green.
King Green in this one. Power. I want to go Ruffy.
Yeah,
it's just
I agree with that.
Yeah, it's all he throws, and it's just unsettling. Look, his 91% of his finishes have come by KO as well, so that does back it up a bit by the numbers.
You get some talk in those shots.
Speed.
Ooh.
It's tough, that.
Speed's a difficult one. Speed's quite a difficult one. But I would say cardio we got to give to...
Yeah, let's go straight there.
King Green, right?
Yeah, cardio is King Green. But speed who's going to be fast here?
It's a crazy one, right? Because Ruffy throws quite fast. But then on the flip side, King Green can pull back pretty fast.
He can, and his shots are untelegraphed, aren't they? They're like under the radar. You don't see him coming.
Yeah. Yeah, speed is a very difficult one. I'm not too sure. I should have bear that in mind when I was watching tape.
Yeah, he's going to be faster. I did in the Fiziev fight and Gaethje. I was looking at speed for that, to be honest.
Yeah, speed is pretty clear in that one.
Yeah.
Pretty clear.
All right, but okay, on this one, I am going to, I'll say Ruffy.
Yeah.
I'll say Ruffy, I think.
Fair.
I'll tiebreaker with that one. Although, once saying Ruffy, I do think Green could either. But there's ways Green can get it done, because someone like Ruffy is probably going to have, coming at this level of the fighting game, high confidence about him, high wits about him. This is, again, another last-minute fight. This wasn't supposed to happen. This is, someone's a last-minute step in. So I feel like he's probably going to have the same confidence, and with that, it's going to be a little bit of danger and complacency. I reckon this could be a firework fight, but if it goes to decision, I'm liking Green for it.
Interesting.
If Ruffy can make a read and actually find Green, I just think that could be a little bit difficult to do so.
Yeah. Ruffy might need a finish in this. And look, the fighting nerds are on a bit of a tear at the moment, you know? They seem to be finishing dudes, or all of them seem to be finishing dudes, in fact. And if Ruffy pulls a finish off in this one, okay, people will start to question King Green.
What are they eating?
But not only that, what are they eating? But I think it sets Ruffy up nicely for a ranked opponent.
It does. King Green's been there. Excuse me. Against a ranked opponent. He's been there against the top of the division, is what I'm trying to say. And so, it really does pave the road for Ruffy's climb, doesn't it? I would have to say, I think Ruffy will get this win, but I wouldn't put money on it. It's too difficult to especially with the unpredictability of Green. You know, you think he's going to stand in there and strike, but then he'll shoot on you and try to wrestle.
Yeah. And if Ruffy wins, then I'm wondering if the UFC or the people who do the rankings, I'm wondering whether they will slot him in at all. They might knock out Benoit Saint-Denis in at number 15. So that'll be another reason to keep an eye on this fight this weekend.
Yeah, he's got to keep going. He's got to get going. All right, let's look at the next fight up on the card. We are... Oh, before I do that, did you have a pick or not sure yet?
Oh, pick-wise, I think...
I've gone Ruffy, but...
Yeah, I'll go Ruffy.
It's nervy.
It is a tough one. I think Ruffy can bank first 2 rounds, perhaps, and maybe win a decision that way. But I think the second round will be close.
Cool, solid pick. Next fight up on the card, then we're visiting the women's strawweight division. It's Lemos versus Lucindo. 14-4-1 for Lemos in the red corner, and 17-5-0 for Lucindo. Both Brazilian, and height-wise, again, not too much in it. We do see drastically, in many cases, how short someone like Lucindo is being for the division, but really the advantages here are going to be in the style. The disparity between these fights is going to be in the style. You got more of a striker versus someone who's a bit more of a grappler in sense. So if we was to have a look at some of those numbers on the grappling gauge, we can probably start off the conversation and ask you the question, JK. You know, in your opinion, what's most likely scenario for the victory on Lemos' side? Right? Is it going to be a knockout, or is it going to be like a dominant decision, or something else, perhaps?
Yeah, I can see it being if Lemos is to get it done, it's got to be via knockout. I think. Yeah, I think in a way it would make fight fans remember just how good she is. Because she's fallen on hard times recently. Okay, she lost against Janjaroba, was looking good in that one. Decided to grapple with her, fell short. Mackenzie Dern win was pretty impressive. Just nullified any wrestling attempt from Dern, kept it standing, done the damage, and walked away with the decision. The Weili Zhang fight will have a bitter taste in her mouth because she just got outclassed from the get go in every area in that fight. But she's got some good wins, against Marina Rodriguez, a technical striker, Michelle Waterson, Angela Hill. But she's got to now prove herself against a rising or potential rising contender in Lucindo. She wants to get the knockout. She's got to rely on that footwork, man.
She really does.
Rely on that footwork and those counter punches.
Can't be coming in straight forwards on backwards. Kind of got to be cutting those angles as well, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 100%. 100%.
And Lucindo, of course, though she is, of course, less experienced than the likes of Lemos, especially on this kind of big stage. But she has shown a lot of promise with her striking proficiency and both of her grappling too. So she brings that kind of youthful energy, that determination, and often that can bring a sense of unpredictability to certain fight scenarios. So do you think Lucinda's going to be able to effectively neutralize that striking threat and power of Lemos? And if so, how would she do it? Is it going to be through the grappling? Is it going to be really through movement in some way?
Yeah, I think she can in the grappling, but I think it's going to be down to how effective that she can be at kind of closing the distance, getting that clinch, and really utilizing the outside trip, because that seems to be her route to getting the fight down to the ground. But, having looked at Lemos as how she dealt with Mackenzie Dern, you'd be like, well, this one's going to be a tough one for Lucindo.
Yeah.
If she's able to get that takedown, that's where she's going to be working. Grappling is her bread and butter. She's only 23 years old as well, which is kind of crazy. She made her professional debut at the age of 14, which is insane.
Yeah.
Right? Into 14.
She could be like right? The women's strawweight John Jones.
Oh, I mean, maybe if she had some more hype earlier on and got some bigger matchups, then maybe. But yeah, I think this one is a bit of a jump for her in Lemos. Yeah, she's going to find it a big challenge.
Yeah. They're really testing, they're really pushing her a little bit with this one, aren't they? And do you think it's the right matchup to make? I guess I'll have to look it.
I don't know. I did watch her last fight. What was it, yesterday? I think it was. It was Marina Rodriguez. It was a split decision. It was close. I think it all came down to the final round, if I'm right. She was able to execute takedowns against Rodriguez, and Rodriguez was often at times good on the break, but maybe a little bit gun shy, having exceeded a takedown earlier on in that fight. Yeah, Lemos hasn't looked great on the ground in recent fights.
That would be the same recipe then, wouldn't it? I would say for something like this, it would be to get the early takedown, make Lemos a little bit gun shy, and so she can have a bit more.
She's got to put a pace on Lemos early.
From early, right?
That's her way to victory. She's got to get right in her
punches
face,
hurt harder.
Otherwise,
they hit harder early though. The punch.
They do, that's for sure. But then I think Lemos is more dangerous when she's kind of able to utilize that range and set up her powerful strikes.
That's true. Let's look at how she can offensively be a problem. Well, let's get the gauges up then and see how. Oh, that is not correct. I've got a fight is here on the screen, and apparently Lucindo is fighting. Is that Gomez from last week?
Oh, okay. Wales is in the house. Hello, fellas. Good afternoon. Oh, good afternoon for you in the US.
Hey, Wales, it's good, geez.
And
pleasure to see
let's
you.
Get your predictions for these main card fights, brother, and how you feel about it, and also your rating for this main card out of 10.
if you please.
Yeah.
I'll quickly correct that, but let's get your thoughts then on striking. Who's going to get it, Lucindo or Gomez?
Gomez. Lucindo or Lemos. Lemos has got striking for me.
Yep.
Yeah. Grappling for Lucindo, that's pretty clear. Power for Lemos. Maybe speed for Lucindo. Then it's going to come down to cardio for me. I kind of want to give cardio to the smaller fighter, perhaps.
So it was Lemos, grappling Lucindo, power Lemos, speed to Lemos, cardio to.
Cardio is a difficult.
It is tough.
One.
It is tough.
I feel like, you know, with the grappling being Lucindo's bread and butter, I feel like her cardio might just best Lemos on the day.
Yeah, I kind of think she lives and is used to it, and therefore will do better in the pressure scenarios. Yeah, I would agree. I think that looks about right. On the night, would you be going to the red corner? Because that's what the gauges here synthesize with, of course.
Oh, it's tough, man. It honestly is. I don't know. I feel like Lucindo. I don't know who's favorite in this, but maybe Lucindo might be for her grappling. But at the same time, you know, I feel like Lemos might get the knockout in this. I think if she kind of sticks to the outside, plays a bit of matador with Lucindo, constantly chips away, roughs her face up a bit with that jab. I think she can set up her power right hand.
Okay, so you reckon that would be how the cookie crumbles?
Yeah, and I feel like Lucindo will probably learn from this setback and become better from it.
Yeah, she's a rising prospect, and
because don't get me wrong,
she's still young.
A win against Marina Rodriguez is pretty damn good because Marina Rodriguez is a slick technical striker. However, Rodriguez lacks the power a little bit, whereas Lemos has the power.
Yeah, granted. Okay, cool. So I would probably on the night also go with. Do you go with the trajectory of these Brazilians, or do you go with the complexity of the fight game? Lemos could just overextend. She got herself in trouble before, but those taller fighters.
Yeah.
One
thing I didn't do, which I made a mistake on, is not rewatch the Mackenzie Dern fight. I should have watched that. I should have watched that for how she was able to deal with takedowns.
I see.
Lucindo's probably, I think Dern usually shoots in for the hips, single leg, whereas Lucindo likes to get that body lock, and I think that could be a bit of a difference play in this one. But yeah, I think to rewatch the Dern fight to see where Dern's entries were, I think would be kind of key.
Yeah, valid. Just looking at that, yeah. So either way, though, yeah, Lemos won, of course, decision.
Yeah, I can kind of see a similar scenario with that, but Lemos actually stops.
Be good to see. All right, cool. We'll get into the next one for now. Then I will probably tentatively say Lucindo would still get the win, but it's going to take a little bit more due diligence. I don't know if I change my mind come the weekend. It's a tough one for me.
Quick chat from Wales before we get into the next fight. He says, I'd give it a 7.5. Wish Hooker didn't get injured, but it is what it is. Yeah, man. Can't wait to get into this co-main event. I'm still pumped to see the co-main event because the first fight between Gaethje and Fiziev was pretty fire, to be honest. Very close, very evenly matched on the feet. But yeah, Hooker's got that hype behind him, and he's on a bit of a wave at the moment.
It's true,
so
yeah.
See what you're saying.
So stick around if you guys are in the chats at the moment. Like, subscribe, don't go nowhere, because coming up is the co-main event. Just after this one, we're right now looking at the lightweight bout. Jalin Turner versus Ignacio Bahamondes. Good one. Now these are real tall giants in the division. We got in the red corner 14-8-0. In the blue corner you got 16-5-0. Chile versus United States, both towering over the most oppositions of 6'3", and I guess that reach advantage is just edged by the likes of Turner in the red corner. If you look at some of the striking and the grappling, you might draw a bit of a picture as to where some of the advantages lie. But over to you, Jacob, with a real snippy question. I've mentioned it already, right? Both these fighters being quite tall. How crucial will range management be, do you reckon, in this fight? How do you think it would? Who would have the advantage or taking control of the distance, that kind of thing?
In a way, I feel like it's very tough, to be honest. I feel like it could be Bahamondes because he's got a bit more of a wider stance than Turner. Turner's very kind of like he trots forward, but everything's kind of close and in tight. Bit of almost like a Muay Thai style.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Bahamondes is going to have a bit more wind up with his strike.
The fact that his hands start from here, though, do you think that's going to be what's the word? Like important? Do you think that's going to actually be a problem for someone like Jalin, or do you reckon it'd be easy to telegraph? Because with your hands here, you can see where they're coming from. You know, put your hands low, like Jalin likes to do from time to time. Have that cut throw, that punch throw from down by the hip. It's more difficult to see.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I don't know. It's a very tough question, to be honest. Out of the two, yeah, you'd feel that Bahamondes might be able to be a bit more effective with the range and be able to kind of pull back a little bit more than Turner, who's in a little bit close there.
I mean, one thing is true. Both of these guys have the potential to land that fight-ending shot, in my personal opinion, I reckon. So.
Oh, yeah. Oh, 100%.
Yeah. Turner straight left and Bahamondes, high kick. You know, they're potentially both going to be a bit dangerous. But Turner has shown a bit of vulnerability on the ground. Do you think Bahamondes will try to exploit with the takedowns in that area, perhaps? Or do you don't think he would even try that?
I think he will, and we've not really seen it much in his game as of recent, right? We saw him on the receiving end of it against Ludwig Klein. Ludwig Klein out-grappled him a couple of fights ago. But Bahamondes, I believe, from training footage that I've seen on social media and on whatever the UFC put out, you know, he's working with Bilal Muhammad, who's got fantastic wrestling. And if you're working with Bilal Muhammad, I think surely your offensive wrestling has got to be there. We've not, like I said, we've not really seen it much from him, and I think this is the perfect fight for him to showcase that. But I just feel like he might just use it as a bit of a fallback.
Fair, well said. I mean, the fact he's training with Bilal Muhammad, I think that's. I've made my decision that Bahamondes is going to win it. You know, there it is.
Yeah, man. I mean, he's a problem as well in this division. The way he finished Torres, I mean, that fight was insane, like on paper, but the way he finished Torres was damn impressive. And yeah, but both guys are a sniper, man. It's such a fun fight, man. It's such a banger.
Yeah, no, it certainly is. Gigels as well, Ludwig Klein. Yeah, like this guy's kind of just tearing through oppositions there, like coming off 2 knockout finishes. Like I said, he's got to look out for that high head kick. Let's get the gauges up. Yeah. And let's get those gauges up.
Matt W in the house is Bahamondes. All day striking is clean. Thanks for joining us, Matt W. Good to see you in the house. So you going with Bahamondes for a knockout, or are you going for a decision? Let us know. I'm intrigued to find out how you score it.
Yeah.
I'm kind of leaning with Bahamondes at the moment.
Got a bit of a Mystic Mac in the chats there. I'd love to know what round that likely come as well if it is to happen. But yeah, look, let's chop this up, man. Striking, who gets that? It's too hard.
Oh man,
it's too hard.
This is mad.
Shall we end on striking?
Yeah, I feel like we might have to. Bahamondes
can have grappling. who can edge it over there.
Yeah,
I've just seen Jalin struggle too early. Turner,
I
sorry.
think Jalin has been working on his jiu-jitsu, to be fair. We've just not really
After what I've seen, he better be.
Yeah.
Power, though.
I think brown belt. Power. I feel like it could be Bahamondes.
Yeah, I might have to just resort to some stats for help on this one. Oh, it's just too close. 69% finish rate for Bahamondes, but also 71% for Jalin. So Jalin does edge it. Just a bit. But you think Bahamondes? Or would we side with what it says on paper?
Yeah, power is difficult.
It's tough. I mean, I just know Jalin is a sniper with his hands. He is, man. It's the way it cuts across that distance and it connects. It's just you go just sleep. You do. It's full shutdown, Windows style.
Yeah.
I would go Jalin.
He's cracked. I would go Jalin. I mean, he cracked Moicano in that last fight, but right at the end of the round. If he cracked him earlier than that, then he could have walked away with a W in that, in my opinion. I think that the stall, the time in between fights or in between rounds allowed Moicano to recover,
get back into it
quite well. So yeah,
we'll pop it down. Difficult. We'll pop it down that one. I'll go Jalin on it if I can. I mean, his arms as well, that reach, just the way he pops it. It's power for me. It's power for me, I think. But speed, I could go Bahamondes, but it's difficult to take that from Jalin as well.
Yeah. So I think the killer shot that Bahamondes landed on Torres was insane. That left hook. Jalin Turner has actually got quite a lot of submission wins on his resume, which is quite shocking. But I think it comes from, I think if I remember rightly, did he catch Brad Riddell first with his hands and then jump the ghillie?
Yeah, in most cases it comes off of landing dangerously and then just wrapping something up then. It rarely comes from initiating grappling sequences. So would you? I would go Bahamondes on speed.
Yeah, I feel like that perhaps.
And then I'm really going to struggle with both cardio and striking.
Yeah, me too. I mean, Jalin Turner yet to win a decision in his pro record. I'm just seeing here. He's lost 4.
Wow.
So he's only gone the distance 4 times. It was pretty mad.
He's not won on decision at all. Yeah. Well, that's why. Yeah, I can give him power, but yeah, you're right. Could we also give him cardio? Probably not.
Bahamondes won the decision a couple of times. Won 4 and lost 3. But then he more. Maybe he's got that. He's from Chile, isn't he?
Yeah. Cardio Bahamondes. Largely going with what's on paper.
Yeah, we could just go with what's on paper in this. You know, Troy Ogden's a bit of a stud. The fact he beat him by a decision is pretty good. But I was catch weight bout. Both of these guys have missed weight at lightweight as well. The big lightweights. Big lightweights added to this weekend, man.
Yeah, look how tall they are. They literally got to be a stack of bones.
Oh, literally.
Yeah.
You know, and Jalin Turner's probably the leanest of the two, I think.
Yeah, he looks it. But does that give him striking? I might have to look again on what's on paper. And landed per minute, Bahamondes is dangerous and has got 7.1 over Jalen's 5.6. Significant strikes. Jalin picks him, so he knows how to throw with more precision. And absorbed per minute. That again is Jalin. He's in more brawls. He's in more of those firefights where he's also receiving those hits as well as dishing them out. So landed per minute, it does suggest that the output sides with Bahamondes. Would you agree on that, or would you still just think Jalin's got more to offer there in the striking?
I think Bahamondes, if he's able to have more output and he's also going to the distance, then I think it's pretty clear we can give Bahamondes the cardio.
Mm-hmm.
And
when it comes to striking, we could.
It's a coin flip. It really is. But maybe. I don't know.
All right, let's give the bone to Jalin. Just give him a little bit more on his side, as he's only got the one there anyway. But you could really go either side with that. I agree with you. It seems as though Bahamondes has got more ways to get it done. I think Bahamondes has what it takes to get it done. I would side with him on the night, but it just takes one from Jalin, and it can really turn the tide.
It's a pick and fight. It really is. Like it could really go either way.
Yeah,
I'm super excited for this one, and yeah, I feel like I want to side for Bahamondes as well. Will there be a finish? I'm not too sure. Matt W seems to think it'd be a knockout round 2 for Bahamondes. Hope to see it, but part of me kind of leaning towards a decision.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, it all depends on whether or not we see some more grappling from Bahamondes in this. We're kind of like speculating that this is the ideal fight for us to see it from him. But whether or not he does resort to that, and whether it's just a firefight on the feet, it could go
either way. Yeah, fair enough. Valid. Okay, well then I think we'll take it to what would be the co-main of the event. A little bit of a teaser there. I did just check I had an image, and what's thrown up on the screen was just a big picture of me, as it was a snippet from the last time we chopped up this very, very fight. So let's give you guys a bit of the walk down, right? It's the co-main event. We're staying in the lightweight division. We ain't going nowhere just yet. It's Justin Gaethje versus Rafael Fiziev 2, the second time. Some might say that Fiziev is a bit of a broken man. Since his last couple of fights, he was on an incredible trajectory, unstoppable as he was. I wonder if this weekend is the weekend when he starts to put himself back on track. He is in the blue corner. He's 12-3. And in the red corner, it's your veteran, that is Justin Gaethje, 26-5-0. Yeah, looking at this, we've seen it before. We kind of have an idea as to what to expect. It was a brilliantly contested fight for the duration of what it was. The former interim UFC champion, of course, Gaethje, with that reputation of just being one of the most entertaining fighters out there in history. He got the knockout of the year last year, and rightfully so. Well, he was the butt end of that knockout, bear in mind.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, the fact these guys have fought before just shows we saw the sheer toughness of them both. And I think it was Gaethje striking that kind of dictated the tempo to it, really, wasn't it? But
yeah,
as we go into this fight for the second time, what do you think Gaethje is going to do differently, if at all? Is it just repeat the same game plan because it worked, or should he be doing something differently, do you think?
It kind of is, because in the first fight, we had Fiziev loading up quite a bit in the first round, and cardio started to run away from him a little bit as the fight went on, and that's when Gaethje was able to kind of make the adjustments, and every time that Fiziev was throwing a single strike, Gaethje was able to reply with 2 or 3 in a combination, and he did some damage on Fiziev and comfortably won rounds 2 and 3. 3 was a close one because Fiziev, I think, came out the gate quite strong, but it was Gaethje who I think he landed quite a big strike towards the end of that round, and it kind of swayed the judges. One judge scored it a draw though, so Gaethje scored the majority decision on the night. But yeah, I think Gaethje will be anticipating that. It's up to Fiziev to make the adjustments this time around. the chips stack heavily in Gaethje's side because he's already beaten Fiziev, and Fiziev coming off a 2-fight losing skid. He's been out for over a year.
2023.
We didn't see him in 2024
Last
at
time
all.
we saw him, yeah.
So because of that, the chips are in Gaethje's corner. However, on the flip side to this, fans are going to start questioning Gaethje's chin after that Max Holloway knockout loss. And prior to that knockout, he was getting outclassed by Max on the feet as well. So maybe there is an opportunity for Fiziev to catch Gaethje clean, make those adjustments, catch him clean, and maybe put him away this time. And if he's able to do that, I think fans will then start to question where Justin Gaethje is at in his career. And maybe 2025 is the year that we see both Dustin Poirier and Justin Gaethje bow out from the sport.
Wow.
Who knows? I'm saying it's possible.
Wow.
I'm saying it's possible, but
that's it.
You know,
one bad knockout, and the guy's gonna go.
Well, no, it'd be 2 if he loses to Fiziev by knockout. 2 knockouts in a row, losses in a row.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's against a Fiziev, a guy who you've beaten before, and also will be probably taking your ranking.
Yeah, look, you're right.
There's not much else for him in the division.
It was an incredibly powerful knockout last year from Max Holloway on the chin of Gaethje, of course. And I think the world's going to be watching. We're all going to be seeing how's this guy operating, going to perform after a knockout like that. And he's still, for me, just such a veteran, such a dog. It's a tough fight mentally coming into it, he might be thinking, you know what? It was tough fighting Fiziev the first time around. Having to do that off the back end of a devastating knockout, which we got last year as well, must be even harder to comprehend. But I was going to be watching. We're just going to be seeing, like, and you're right, is Gaethje still up for it? I would.
Don't get me wrong. I think it's a perfect fight for him to get a win.
Yeah.
And then look forward. You know,
I wouldn't. If he loses this one, I would hope he's still about. But yeah,
it's a hard loss. I guess Fiziev on short notice as well. When you've been in training camp, or you've been preparing for a completely different fighter in Dan Hooker. Dan Hooker doesn't possess the same amount of power as Fiziev does. All right, the technical abilities both are fairly similar, but yeah, it's such a big jump. Such a big loss.
Fair, yeah. And let's look at Fiziev for a second, because of course he did have an upsetting loss against Gamrot. Was it?
Yeah, it was Gamrot. Yeah.
Trying to remember it now, but yeah, of course, it was just a gammy leg, effectively, wasn't it? His leg gave out.
Yeah.
Which sucks.
He threw a kick. He threw a kick and it caught
elbow or something.
Elbow.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was it. So we didn't really get to see the full extent.
I thought he was doing very well in it as well, to be fair.
It was a close first round. I probably edged it to Fiziev. I think his takedown defense was holding up pretty well.
Yeah.
Against Gamrot.
Yeah, and just like in that fight as well, I think the fact that Fiziev's ability to pivot, combine his strikes seamlessly with those kicks and counter strikes as well, it's what makes him a formidable opponent, really.
Yeah.
But if we look at that Gamrot fight, you can say, where did he go wrong? Clearly, we can all see it. It was that leg kick he threw. It hit the elbow. Unlucky. But if you go back to the Gaethje fight and you try looking at that one, it's even harder to ask yourself the question, where did he go wrong? Because it was such a good fight. Closely contended. It
was, and yeah, you could probably say that that Fiziev was winding up on his strikes a little bit, or a little too often, especially in that first round. And that's kind of where I'd put it down to. Yeah, okay, in the Gamrot fight, you did kind of see those adjustments made in that first round. However, on the flip side, the fight was scheduled for 5 rounds anyway, so he's going to fight a little bit more cautiously. It just, yeah, like I said, it sucks that we didn't get to see the full extent of that fight.
Yeah.
This time around, I think that's the adjustment that we need to see from Fiziev. Maybe be a little bit slower in his approach, perhaps. the speed factor was huge. Like he was so much quicker than Gaethje, but I feel like needed to manage his energy and his output a little bit more.
Yeah, we'll get those gauges up now, I think, as well. But I think if you look at these two, right, you could just you just think, and I think it's not difficult to say this, but Fiziev does look like he's got more mileage in him than someone like Gaethje. Gaethje's been around, done everything he needs to do for a long time, but Fiziev, I think, just looks like he's got more mileage in him as well when they're stepping up to the plate. All right, so here's the gauges. Striking, grappling, power, speed, and cardio. You know how it goes. Let's start with striking. Who do you think?
But what was it last time around? Because we've done this fight before.
Good point. I do have that.
And who was it?
Do you know what I wish I had as well?
Who
actually
did we do the breakdown, or was it you and Ash?
It was me and Ash.
It was you and Ash.
It was, yeah. So this was going back to UFC 286, I believe. So I got up on the screen now. This is a snapshot of the very fight card. We did side in the red corner with Gaethje. We had Gaethje for striking, we had him for power, and we had him for cardio. And just as we called it on the breakdown, is exactly what we saw on the night as well. He did have the power, he did have the cardio, and also in striking it was closely contested, but those were the areas where he had shined. Now I am surprised we didn't give Gaethje grappling.
I'm quite surprised by that as well. I'm like, why did you do that?
Yeah, I actually, looking back in it, thinking, oh, surely Gaethje will get grappling, but I can't remember the reason now. But I think if you go back to that fight, Gaethje tries it once, doesn't he? He attempts it once, bails on it, doesn't try grappling again.
I think he successfully scored a takedown right at the end of round 3, and that was it. I think maybe you've sided with grappling because of Fiziev's takedown defense, and in fact, I think he was able to nullify Rafael dos Anjos for 5 rounds. Maybe had a bit of a factor in there. What it come to on the night, but yeah, I think overall grappling ability, you probably would side with Gaethje.
Yeah, do you know what it was as well? I think something like this, we just went down to what it says on paper. And as much as I'm skeptical with the paper sometimes, it does put takedown accuracy and just by a smidge more takedown average in the blue corner with Fiziev over Gaethje. But otherwise, yeah, these guys are pretty much closely, very similar in all other areas on the fight, on the stats. It's probably why we got there.
Yeah.
So would we do the same again?
Would I change?
Or...
I would probably do the same again. I probably would change grappling. However, power is quite a bit of a difficult one, really. Gaethje, I felt like was a bit more. In the first fight, I think he was a bit more accurate, really, and I think his timing was down. He had the timing down a lot better than Fiziev did. But that doesn't necessarily mean that he edges the power. Now his leg kicks are pretty devastating. Maybe we might see a little bit more of them in this fight than we did in the first fight. Yeah. Power. Yeah.
And I think if there's something I could see a bit differently, Fiziev, and as much as style as well, he comes forwards, he plants himself in the pocket, and he lives there, you know. And for Gaethje, that's the kind of style he likes too, which is why we saw such fireworks come off the back end of that first fight. So yeah, like if we step back a bit and put it down to kicking range, yeah, I think you're receiving less, but you are still dishing out just as much, aren't you? The gauges are reset to what they were last time. What you would change, you said, is you'll keep striking with Gaethje, or would you swap it over to Fiziev?
No, I think we got to judge it. If we're judging it off of the last fight, we got to keep it with Gaethje, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
And grappling, you know, we didn't really have anything in the last fight to go on.
No.
But one attempt from Gaethje, which he bailed on. So does that warrant taking it over to Gaethje's side?
I think overall, because Gaethje, I think, has got a bit of a wrestling background anyway. And I feel like ability wise, it's there for Gaethje.
Yeah.
Whether I want to use it or not.
Cardio wise, I feel like Fiziev was stepping into a higher gear in the last round.
No, he started off I think he started off a bit fresh in that first sort of a few exchanges.
Yeah.
In that third round, but it did fall off pretty quick.
Okay.
Second round was kind of like a story of Gaethje just finding his timing a lot better.
Yeah.
But I do feel like Fiziev slowed down a bit.
Fair. Speed is very much true there as well.
Yeah. Oh, speed. Yeah, 100%. Fiziev is so much quicker.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just think he just needs to be quicker, but kind of throughout the duration of the fight. So he kind of needs to pick his moments a little bit. I feel it's up to Fiziev to make the adjustments.
I think he would have made some of the adjustments. In fact, if I was changing this, I would put grappling with Gaethje, but I think I would put striking over to Fiziev, because what I believe is going to happen is Gaethje's going to resort on grappling more once he's kind of witnessing some of the changes from Fiziev in this bout. Striking wise, he's going to have to sort of lean on something else. Last time he didn't need to. In my personal opinion, I think he felt comfortable enough standing and striking, but when he's uncomfortable, he's going to see some grappling.
Okay.
But that's it for me, man. On the night, I'm actually going to go Fiziev. I think it's his time now.
I hope there's a knockout in this. But I love watching Rafael Fiziev, and I mean, to see him fall short in this one, I think would be really devastating. It's a big gamble, big fight to take when you've not been in there for so long.
Yeah.
I guess not moving anywhere in the rankings would be good if he was to take the L, because then he gets to kind of reset a little bit. But man, I just want to see Fiziev up there, and I really wanted to see it for their first fight, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
He was probably a Gaethje fight away from a title shot, really.
Yeah.
Because he would have been a fresh bit of blood in that top echelon of the division.
It's true. It really did set him back. And honestly, I would love to have seen him get that win as well at a time. I think this is his time now, though.
One thing that DC said during their first fight, which I thought was quite interesting, is if you're a guy and you take out someone like Justin Gaethje, your stock rises massively, your pay becomes massively more, and you become a superstar effectively.
It's true.
And I thought that was damn true. And the fact that he was on the cusp of doing that is kind of insane.
Yeah.
To think where he would be now.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Second time, is it going to work?
It's true. It's truly an exciting thought. I really hope he does. Passing of the torch, I'd say. Perhaps this time.
Yeah, because I mean, we've got a few people in that division, top end, have been up there for quite some time now. Dustin Poirier's a fight away from retiring. Cool. Charles Oliveira's been there for a minute. Sarukin's only just got into the rankings, which is great. Max Holloway's only just got into there, which is also great. But it's just Poirier and Gaethje, they've been there for so long now. See someone take either of those two out, I think is fantastic. Yeah,
they're holding the space down, but they've also kind of earned it because the many years of joy they've given us over this time. Okay, we'll draw that to a close, then we'll get on to the main reason why we are all here this evening. If not, gone past it already.
Two chats. Wales says protect the chin at all costs. That's the thing, as taking some serious damage. He's referring to Justin Gaethje there. Matt W says Gaethje got a fight like it's continuing to round 4 from the first fight. Get that double leg as well. That's a good point.
Nicely put, Matt. I love that.
It would have been insane to have seen 2 more rounds from those guys that night. Sadly, we're not going to see it this time around. But yeah, I think what he's alluding to there is the gas tank of Gaethje is going to be pretty key in this fight.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty key. But also, everyone's wondering how that chin's going to hold up, given what happened to it last time out, last year, right? So we're looking now at the light heavyweight division. We're finally stepping up a notch, and we're looking into the barrel of Alex Pereira and Magomed Ankalaev, the massively anticipated fight that was supposed to be happening for a minute now. I think the anticipation around this fight happened ultimately when there was a draw between Ankalaev and Blachowicz, and there's a big void in the division as to what's going to be happening next. Blachowicz got that call up, but Ankalaev did not. He kind of got penalized for that performance. So yeah, the anticipation, we can say it is palpable. Now, largely, we're looking at the contrasting styles between these two fighters, right? Pereira, a former kickboxing champion who showcased knockout power throughout the MMA, and of course Ankalaev, a Dagestani grappler too. So it's known for he's largely known for his wrestling, yes, absolutely, but also he's interesting because of his striking versatility. I guess if we're going to look at how this fight's going to match out now in the light heavyweight division, how do you see Pereira's pressure or kickboxing? How do you see it matching up against the style or the grappling of Ankalaev and his diverse striking, JK?
Well, I think what Pereira is good at is once he does get taken down, he's very good at just nullifying any offense. You know, he's good at just wrapping up limbs and just holding his opponents there. And he did that against Jan Blachowicz. And he did. Just, in doing that, he's basically saying to the judges, look, okay, this guy got the takedown, but he's not done anything with it. And he's waiting for the referee to stand it up, which I think is a good tactic, to be fair. The striking side of it, it's going to be those low leg kicks, man. We saw how much Jan Blachowicz was able to do damage against Ankalaev in their fight. Yes, Jan didn't get the finish, but it changed the course of the fight a lot in a lot of ways. So it's going to come down to whether or not, or how Ankalaev is able to deal with it.
If as well.
And if.
How and if. But then I guess we could say, if we look at Magomedov's performance over the years, right, there's literally nothing more he could do to get into this seat. He's been benched like a bad dog, in my personal opinion. And look, a lot of people would say the reason for that, and I would be one of those people also to say that I think it's because the UFC are afraid of what he could do to their star boy Pereira. Pereira's had chance to shine at the top now. He even called up Khalil Roundtree from someone from deep down in the division in order to kind of give him a few more, defenses underneath the belt. I personally think it's a bit of a strategy to avoid Ankalaev. But what is it do you think is it about Ankalaev's style that could give Pereira most problems then?
To be honest, I think it's not necessarily, everyone's kind of chalking it down to this Ankalaev being this wrestling phenom, but we've not really seen it in a long time, and we've mainly seen him stand up and strike with guys. It's just usually his fights are very slow paced and they are on the feet, and he's just kind of very good at managing the fight across a long distance, really. And he's shown that he's very difficult to stop and outmatch in that. So I think that's kind of like the bit of the biggest thing in this, really.
I think it's a bit of a myth to bust.
Yeah, because I mean, like, I think, yeah, okay, maybe he has got the wrestling to kind of fall back on, but will we see it is a bit of a question. Has he been holding off on it? Are we going to see it in this one? One shocking thing is, if you probably get the stats up now, is his takedown accuracy is 31%. That's quite low, and that's not very good, really.
Yeah.
And I think people see him as like this Russian guy from Dagestan, and they automatically kind of associate him with Khabib's camp. But no. He's not from Khabib's camp. Yeah, okay, he's got Sambo background, but really, we've not really seen it in the UFC.
And that's probably a little bit misguiding as well. But looking at that stat there, you have someone like Alex Pereira who's got 100% takedown accuracy, which probably just means he's tried it once and he succeeded once, which is impressive. But yeah, I mean, if you look at wins by as well, you know, he's not someone who's submitting people either. You know, he hasn't got all the submissions things back there. So you might say it is a little bit of a myth that this guy's wrestling, but he's got that style. He's got a Dagestani style about him in terms of how he's able to nullify certain striking threats. We saw against Jan Blachowicz. He is still dangerous in those positions, but what's quite exciting is, yeah, he doesn't use it because he hasn't had to fall back on it yet. And I just think it's because he's capable in other areas. I always used to think it's because people talked about how boring he was, that he would bench his wrestling tendencies and look to stand and strike with people just to prove that he's, you know, he's got hands too. So far, you know, I would say this guy's undefeated, bar that Paul Craig fight that happened. You know, that's so annoying. Final minutes on that tiny scratch in his resume. But ultimately, I could still say, you know, he's not been beat in a fight bar from that one. You know what I mean? He's as good as undefeated bar that one. That 30 bar that 20 seconds of that fight. The last 20 seconds of the fight is what lost him that fight. But bar that, he's dominated, or he's won. Well, not lost, put it that way. Any other fight.
Matt W says, Sharma, say less.
Say less.
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing I was listening to today, someone said that if fight draws long, then maybe it could be in Ankalaev's favor because of just how well he's able to manage and adjust during fights.
This is 5 rounds.
No, it is 5 rounds.
Pereira doesn't do 5 rounds, not usually.
Normally gets the job done. So yeah, I think it's pretty clear Pereira needs to get the finish within 2.
Yeah. And without that, then Ankalaev's just really got to manage it. Let's say Ankalaev wins. Is he going to get more fans? No.
Maybe.
I don't think he would.
Here's one thing.
I think if he wins, it's because he's got to play a boring game plan. And then and then when you see someone like Pereira who's always got exciting fights, have a boring fight, they're going to blame Ankalaev. I think it's probably going to be lose-lose for the guy.
All I'm going to say heading into this is if you're a Tom Aspinall fan, you've got to be hoping that Magomed Ankalaev gets the win this weekend. I'm going to tell you why. Because if Ankalaev gets the win, John Jones has only got one option on the table for it, and that's against Tom Aspinall, right? If Pereira gets the job done, all of a sudden Alex Pereira enters the chat, and who is John Jones more likely going to want to fight more?
Who's behind the keyboard?
Alex Pereira or Tom Aspinall? It's going to be Alex Pereira. It's a more winnable fight for John, and he'll probably make more money out of it. And I think that's what John's doing, is he's holding back to find out who wins this weekend.
Yeah, that's one way to put it. That's one way to put it. I think, yeah, Tommy Aspinall and John Jones is going to happen if you're smart, like John Jones is. You don't fight the guy when he wants it because he's ready. You kind of wait out time so he's a little bit less ready than he was when he first wanted it, and that's a little bit more in your advantage as well.
Now, I was listening to Brendan Sharp, who seems to think that you want Alex Pereira to win against Magomed Ankalaev, and then Pereira will then go on to fight Tom Aspinall. But it's a possibility, but I don't think that's the option.
No, I don't think Tom Aspinall wants it. Tom Aspinall doesn't want it.
I think Aspinall will probably take that. He would rather fight John Jones, but
yeah,
surely we've got to at least get some clarity on John Jones's situation and whether or not he's going to continue fighting. Because realistically, those guys need John Jones. John Jones doesn't need.
What's the risk for Tom Aspinall then? If he gets knocked out by Pereira, he doesn't lose a belt. He doesn't lose a position. He's still interim for the heavyweight.
Alex Alex Pereira goes down as the best combat sports athlete we have ever seen, and then Aspinall just carries on in the heavyweight division, but there's not a lot there.
Yeah.
He'd probably
Well, no,
get a
'cause
title fight again and win.
Aspinall will still have to fight John Jones because he'll still be the interim. You know,
He won't be fighting Alex Pereira, fighting John Jones.
if he fights Alex
I
Pereira,
don't think.
he goes down to fight Alex. He's going down, I presume, right?
No, no. Alex Pereira will be going
I'm
up.
with you. Right,
Alex Pereira will
right.
go up, and that's
In
his
which
bow
case-
out. That's his final fight because he's 37.
Come on, mate.
There's
Pereira
nothing else
go
to
up.
achieve.
Wow, that's a fall.
He'll go up.
Yeah, fair.
You know, there's no one else at light heavyweight. You beat Ankalaev, that's it. In my opinion,
Mm,
you're done.
mm. Probably right. Yeah.
No one else is coming through.
Guy's completed it.
All right, okay. Jan Blachowicz can cry all he wants that he wants the rematch because he felt like he won their fight. We ain't gonna do that. All right, Carlos Ulberg, if he beats Jan Blachowicz, however, may enter the chat as a possible opponent, but I still don't think there's going to be enough hype behind Ulberg to get the fight.
Yeah, you're probably right. But look, they'll find something. They found Khalil Roundtree from out of nowhere, and all of a sudden it was the fight we all wanted over a matter of weeks.
Yeah.
Then we kind of all realized that it was a fight that never should have happened in the first place, but somehow we bought into it.
Good scrap as well.
Yeah, they'll find something.
Some chats where Matt W says, if you're scoring round by round, no 10-8, Jan obviously beat Magomed. Yeah. I mean, I felt like Jan may have got the nod. Red Wolf's in the house. He's been listening the whole time, clearly, because he pipes up now. He says, Tom will fight Pereira if John keeps ducking, and Dana will lose. All respect if he makes John versus Alex. Well, yeah, I can kind of see that. Dana will probably fall out with a lot of Brits if he makes that fight.
That'd be pretty
but
funny.
I think it depends. I think it all depends on the outcome of this weekend and how much people talk about it. Whether or not Alex Pereira can gain a lot more interest, because if that's the main topic that everyone's talking about currently, then the UFC are going to run with that and go, well, look, you were talking about Aspinall ages ago. Now you're talking about this, so we're going to go with this. So,
I just struggle to see why
going.
Pereira would go up a weight class to fight heavyweight if it's not for John Jones. He can get he can pick, right? And why wouldn't he then go for John Jones? The only way
John Jones is
if Aspinall went to light heavyweight, okay, I can see him trying to pick that fight. John Jones is waiting too long. I'm gonna cut. Come light heavyweight, take your belt. I'm gonna fight you before John Jones gets a chance to, and then that would be quite funny, and that would be entertaining, and that would probably be all right for Aspinall, because even if he does lose that, look, it's all. I don't know if we can even see him get down to light heavyweight, but if he does lose that fight, in theory, he's still interim champion to the heavyweight division, and he still would have to fight John Jones after at some point anyway, just because. You can't have two champions standing in that division.
If the Jones fight doesn't happen in the summer, then it's not happening at all. I can't see
No.
John sticking around.
Definitely no.
Because Aspinall needs John. John doesn't need Aspinall.
True. He's done it all already. So many complete fighters up there. But let's have a look at how
let's get into this
is
fight.
it's gonna dice up. Just drop the chat down from the screen and we'll look at some striking. I think it'll be quite clear to say power would go to Pereira.
Striking and power to Pereira, I think.
Just bring down the Red Wolves chat. I know we do like the guy a lot, but we don't.
Not clear.
It's gone now. It's gone now. Yeah. Okay. Okay, cool. So power goes to Pereira. Grappling.
Yep.
I would go to Ankalaev with that, of course.
We'll give it to Ankalaev. That's fair.
And then we've got striking, speed, and cardio. Striking, I think it's got to go Pereira.
Yeah, I think speed's got to go Pereira as well.
Speed to Pereira.
I'd maybe side cardio with Ankalaev.
Most likely, I'll probably do the same. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Although Ankalaev does gas, if you saw him against Blachowicz. It was a tiring fifth round.
It was Yeah,
Everything was labored.
He had to dig deep. He had to dig deep.
He really did. Everything was labored, and I couldn't help but think, how's this guy like bar that last 20 seconds undefeated? So I scratch my head about it still, just looking at how the strikes were labored. So look, I could probably see some opportunities for Pereira. He's just got to find him, sit down so assertively on him, and not let it go too long. Because have we ever seen Pereira be unraveled in some way?
I mean, we nearly saw it against Jan Blachowicz. Very close fight. I do feel like he was able to nullify quite a lot of grappling offense from Blachowicz in that, the way he was able to tie up limbs and just kind of hold on and stall.
Yeah.
And I think that would be his kind of key in this one. If Ankalaev is able to get him down. Now, Pereira has been working on his jiu-jitsu with Glover Teixeira. We know that for a fact. But has it been enough in order to withstand someone like Ankalaev? Is, I guess, the ultimate question fight fans are all wondering heading into this weekend.
Yeah. I mean, as far as it goes for Pereira, he's only just got to look at take the takedown defense. He doesn't have to be offensive with it. But yeah, would it make all the difference?
I think it depends on how soon we see Ankalaev shoot. How many leg kicks is he going to take before he opts for takedown?
Now, here's a question. The main one. The topping the leaderboard in the Fight Picks League question, JK, is who would you go for tonight? I think I know.
I'm hoping Ankalaev. No, I'm hoping Pereira gets the knockout in 2 rounds.
I actually think I'm gonna go with Ankalaev on this.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think he wins it, but he doesn't win many fans. I think he gets the job done, but we're all gonna be a little bit worse off for it. But I think he does it, and largely it's just going to be by fighting a boring fight. I don't know. That's going to be it.
I can see Pereira catching him.
The most exciting fighter in the light heavyweight division versus the most boring fighter in the light heavyweight division. Who wins? Who wins that one?
No. We can't have a year where we've got Belal Muhammad, Ankalaev, champions. Who else am I reading off the list?
Driscus Duplessis.
Marab, Driscus Duplessis. Marab, but I mean, Marab's insane.
He is.
He's got a gas tank on him, but I can get that maybe he isn't everyone's cup of tea.
He's not finishing them.
Islam gets finishes. Topuria gets finishes.
Pantoja gets finishes.
Pantoja does get
Weili
finishes.
Zhang even gets finishes. Yeah.
That's probably it.
Exactly, yeah. So look, Belal Muhammad's infecting even the light heavyweight division. Perhaps we might see, but hey, here we go.
Red Wolf says, "I will riot, but I get you, of course. But it would take a bit more of time for Pereira to put the muscle on, so he's proper heavyweight. Ideally, Tom versus John in summer. Pereira fights winner. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I think that would be a smart move for Pereira. Yeah, to take time to put on muscle mass. You're probably right there.
Yeah, true. I can't
rush job then.
Yeah, one thing's certain. It's Hall of Fame doors for this guy soon in his future. It's just incredible what he's done so far. The fact we're here talking about him in another division up would just be the icing on the cake. You know, he's only got to be sitting there with his team thinking, how can I level up again this year? Oh, look, he's only just got to sit there and do what he does best, and already he's got other divisions asking for him. So, look, these things are coming to his doorstep, aren't they? I think that's it for us, Case. I think we're done. Here.
Wrapped.
Absolutely wrapped it up. I am excited anytime Pereira fights because it's a good card. As I said at the very beginning of this, I don't think he wins it this time around, but either way, I'm going to be locked in and strapped in for the duration of it. And you guys should be too. If you're sitting at home watching this, make sure you're chiming in to the watch along on this Saturday. It's 3 a.m., isn't that right, JK?
It is indeed.
Yep.
3 a.m. UK time, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Pacific.
Absolutely. We're going to be watching it, and you should be watching it along with us as well here at the Against the Fence YouTube channel. So like and subscribe if you've not done so already, and we'll see you come this weekend for all of that to come. And then we've got more things next week, of course, to get stuck into. But for now, it's time for us to say good night.
And I know.
Love,
Ciao,
peace, and chicken grease.